March 2020, Metropolitan Police Officer Kashif Mahmood signed out a marked patrol car from his station in Stoke Newington. He took the car and picked up what appeared to be another uniformed officer. The pair travelled here to Chingford in Essex, and with their police car, pulled over a black Range Rover on this road. Mahmood then used his police powers to search the vehicle. In the black Range Rover, they discovered a bag filled with thousands of pounds in cash. But this is where the story gets odd. So instead of arresting the driver, PC Kashif Mahmood just let him go. But he took all the money. To everyone who knew him, Kashif Mahmood was an upstanding police officer, commended for his bravery. But in May 2017, another side of PC Mahmood began to show when he was guarding a cordon at the site of an incident and was being pestered by a member of the public.
What happened when the protesters kept coming at him and kept coming back at him, making rude remarks and having a go at him, Mahmood basically blew his top and grabbed hold of this bloke, and he was overzealous and pushed him, forced him against the wall, and in doing so hurt his head, caused injuries.
So he was convicted of an assault?
He was convicted at magistrates' court and then went through a misconduct hearing, and he had his job back.
Having been convicted of an offence, Mahmood seems to have made contact with old friends from his school days.
Now, I wonder whether or not he was feeling a bit kind of let down by the fact he's been charged with the assault, and now he's really unhappy about what's happened. No one stood by him, and he's been convicted. And was that the thing that triggered him to reconnect with Mohsin Khan and Shabazz and Shazad? And they were old school friends, old associates from way back.
But these were not any old friends.
These individuals who he'd reconnected with ran a big organised crime group coming out of Ilford in Essex.
Mahmood was ordered by the Khans to target rival criminals using his police powers and relieve them of huge amounts of cash. So what was the plan Mahmood and his associates came up with?
Basically, they got involved in taking money from drug dealers. They knew when the drug dealers had purchased the drugs, and they also knew when money was exchanged.
On 7 different occasions over the next 5 months, between November 2019 and March 2020, PC Mahmood took marked police cars from Stoke Newington Police Station on days when he was signed off sick. He would then pull over drug dealers with the help of another man. All seemed to be going well for Kashif Mahmood and the gang he was working for, all until they pulled over the wrong car at the wrong time.
It all starts to go wrong on the 8th of March 2020. Mahmood comes to the police station even though he's off sick. He takes a police car out in somebody else's name. He drives to Chingford, which is not his patch. He shouldn't be there, certainly not in a police car, because he knows that there's going to be a deal taking place in a residential street. So what happened was the drug dealer is there. One of the Khan brothers turns up in his car. He gets in the drug courier's car, hands over £400,000. He then leaves. They then wait a few seconds, and suddenly the police car turns up. Mahmood comes along, he parks next to that car, he gets out, he pretends to search it. He takes the money, he drives off.
But this was the point at which Kashif Mahmood's luck ran out.
The problem was that across the street, there was another police unit. That police unit was an anti-money laundering unit that was doing an undercover investigation. They were watching the drug courier. They thought, what the hell's going on here? They actually stopped Mahmood and asked him why he had stopped and searched the car. He told them that he smelt cannabis on the driver's breath, that he thought perhaps there was something going on. There'd been a couple of bags in the car, but nothing else.
Mahmood had lied to his fellow officers. Unbeknownst to them, he had in fact taken a huge stash of money. And from that moment then, is this just where it spirals out of everything that he's been doing?
As a result of that stop and search, the anti-corruption command got involved, and they started looking at him and investigating him, and then realised that Mahmood was looking and researching the Asmand so far back as 2019. They knew then that they were associates and they were onto something.
Kashif Mahmood has no idea investigators are building a case against him. And they're getting help from police in Europe, who are decrypting the messages to Mahmood from the criminal mastermind of the gang, Mushtaba Niesmund, based in Dubai.
When the European police realised that criminals all over Europe were using a system called EncroChat to talk to each other, and they ended up, the French police, breaking in digitally to the system and placing a digital device, a bit of code in the system, so that they could record effectively the texts that were coming through the whole network. And that was the biggest breakthrough, I think, in policing against serious organised crime in recent times. These criminals thought the police could not be watching them, but the police were in effect looking over their shoulders, reading every single text.
Mahmood and his gang, like most global organised criminals, had been writing and sending messages using EncroChat without fear of them being read by the authorities.
It was so crucial when the police were able to hack into EncroChat, and they managed to identify 6,500 criminals, and that was good intelligence to lead them to Mahmood.
And that was literally the nail in Mahmood's coffin.
The police were reasonably satisfied that they had sufficient evidence, so they went to the address of Mahmood and he was arrested. But before the officers were able to enter the premises, Mahmood had directed his wife to remove a box. The disturbing thing about that is that Mahmood's wife, Shireen, was also a police officer.
His wife's a police officer?
She's a police officer.
By asking his wife to hide the money, Mahmood had made her an accomplice.
I think that when push came to shove and he was finally caught, I think it would have created sheer panic in him. Not only because of what he'd done, he was now losing status. He'd also involved his family, he'd involved his wife, and I think we see that sense of panic in terms of how he then responded when he was eventually arrested.
On the 13th of May 2021 at Southwark Crown Court, ex-Metropolitan Police officer Kashif Mahmood was sentenced to 8 years in prison, reduced from 12 years for pleading guilty and preventing a trial.